Hi everyone, and welcome to Watercolors with Jaylene, and thank you for joining me today. So you know how we all have the little post-it note in our cupboard or in our drawer with our Wi-Fi network and password on it, and when a friend comes in we hand it to them so that they can get on our network? Well, I have the cutest solution for this, so why don't you grab your paintbrush and join me, and let's get started. Okay, so let's get started on my little Wi-Fi sign for the network and password that I want to put in the guest bedroom. So real quick, I will go over my materials list. I have my watercolor paper, my paints, some clean water, blotting towel, and then of course a pencil and an eraser, my Sharpie fine point marker, and then I do have a Micron. This is an 05 nib. It's a permanent marker as well. And then for my brushes, I have got a small flat brush, and then 3 round brushes. One is a size 8, a size 1, and a size 4. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be using, so I wanted to have them all at my fingertips. And then I do have my little ruler that I'm just going to be using as a straight edge. And so before we get started, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And if you enjoy this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Also hit the bell, and that will notify you when I put up new videos, which I do try to get 2 new videos per week. So what I'm going to do to get started, I did go ahead and I measured the inside of a small frame that I'll be using, and I didn't want to do that while filming and bore you with my measuring. So anyway, I measured the inside of the frame that I'll be using, and so I put that down, and then I did an inside frame also, because I will be filling in the, in between that. So before I do that, I wanted to pencil in my wording just to make sure that I get correct. And I don't know if you can see it in the video, but real lightly, I did go ahead with a pencil and just kind of marked where the center of this is, so that when I'm putting in my hand lettering, I hopefully get it as even as possible or as centered as possible. So you can write really anything you want. I'm just going to keep it simple and put "enjoy your stay," because this little sign will be going in my guest bedroom. And so I'm just going to kind of pencil it in. Enjoy. And then I just need the network and the password. So then with my little straight edge, I'll put a line here for each of these, just very lightly. And you can see I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I'm not doing any measuring with this. Okay, so I do have that set. So now I am going to go in with my Sharpie marker and just go over this, because I do like the way it looks and the lettering is fine. If you are good with calligraphy, you could always do it in calligraphy. I just love it. I'm not good with it, unfortunately. So I'm going to just go over this. And I wouldn't say that my penmanship is the best, but my company will know that I did hand design it when they see the writing. So then I will use my straight edge just to put the line in for the network and then also for the password. And then I'll fill that in once everything is complete. Okay, so I have those down, and I'll just go back in and erase all of my pencil lines. Yeah, I've been wanting to actually make one of these signs for quite a while, and so I'm just now getting around to it. And I wanted to share it with all of you. Okay, so I do have that in, and I think now what I'm going to do is just pencil in some flowers, some little flowers that I'm going to put on here. And I do make some daisy greeting cards. They're very popular. I get a lot of requests for them. I sell a lot. I give them as gifts. And so I wanted to go ahead and add some of those daisies onto this as the main flower. And they're very quick and easy to do, and they're a lot of fun and adorable. So I always make these with 5 petals. And then over here, I'm going to do 5 petals. And I just kind of want to place them, you know, with pencil as just to get an idea of where I want them. And so those are going to be the 2 main ones, and then you'll see we'll go around and kind of fill in with some other flowers as we go along. So now I'm going to be using my Micron 05 nib and going back over these. Okay, and then I always like to kind of very lightly add a second little loop, just to give it a little bit of character. And then of course we want to put some I don't know what they're called, just little stress lines or something in there. And then over here, and I try to keep my hand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. And with these, some of the petals can be, you know, wider than others. Some can be longer or shorter. They definitely don't all have to be the same size. That's what adds personality and character to flowers, is the ununiformity. Okay, and I'll just put in a few lines. And then on both of these, for the center, let's just do a bunch of dots, and then we'll be filling that in with color once we get the paints out. So you'll kind of have a better idea, you know, once we start doing the painting on this. And with all of the flowers that I'm going to be putting on here, not all of them will I be, you know, doing with the pen first, but these 2, I wanted that specific look. So I did want to make sure that I did it with the Micron marker. And with a marker that you're using, you do want to make sure that it's a permanent marker so that when we go to put the paint down, it doesn't blend and ruin the look of the flower. And actually, with these, I do want to put just a little bit of a stem going each way, and just a little leaf on either side. I think I'll put one on the inside as well. Okay. Okay, so that is the basic outline of everything. And then we can start filling it in from here. And you can get creative and use whatever types of flowers or, you know, just little berries or what have you that you really like. So to get started, what I'm going to do with my flat brush, And this is a very small flat brush. It is, let's see here. This is actually 1/4 of an inch wide, so it is very small. And I'm going to grab some black paint, and this is just lamp black, straight lamp black. I want it very dark. And I'm going to go around and just put in some checks. And with this, I'm really not measuring anything. I didn't, put little markers out, but I'm trying to leave, there again, just eyeballing it, leaving the white space about as wide as the 1/4 inch flat brush. Okay, and then over the years I've done many paintings where I would put this black and white check edge in. It kind of became my signature for a while, and I don't know why I got away from it, but I kind of did. And so now I'd like to try and work it into a lot of my designs more often. It doesn't obviously work with everything, but I think it's just fun and whimsical. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you can tell I like to use whimsical in a lot of designs. Okay, so I'll get this all set in. I think my guests will really like, when they arrive and as they put their luggage into the guest bedroom and they see the sign. Because a lot of times, people will get here and they kind of forget that they need to connect to the Wi-Fi. And so this is going to be just a friendly reminder upon getting into the bedroom. So as I mentioned earlier, if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you could go ahead and do that now, I would really appreciate it. It helps me grow. And then also if you could hit the like button if you're enjoying this video. Leave comments below, comments, ideas, suggestions, thoughts. I do get back to everyone that, leaves something there. I like to read what everyone is thinking, their constructive criticism or comments, compliments, all of it. Okay, so now I'm going to do the daisies, and for the daisies I'm going to grab just a little bit of my violet or purple, and I'm using my 01 brush, my not 01 but size 1 brush for this, and I'm putting it's out of the view of the camera, so I do apologize, but I have just a little bit of paint on my brush and a lot of water. I want it to be very light, and you'll see why as we continue on. I just want a hint of the violet color on the petals of the flower for now, and I do want a lot of water on there because I'll be adding a little bit more paint, and I want it to blend, so I don't want this paint to dry too quickly. Okay, so now that we have that lightly colored in, I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit heavier volume of the violet paint on my brush. And then I just want to kind of tap, that was a little too much, but now I just kind of want to tap into the inner part of these flowers with a little bit more paint, the same color of course, and let that blend out into the petals. That's why I wanted it to be still a little damp. I didn't want it to dry out. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with the other flower, and it's going to be in the violet color also. All right. And then the same thing, I want a lot of water on my brush and very little of the paint for the first layer. Some flowers I like to do in layers. So I'll paint on a color very lightly, let it dry, and then paint another layer. But with these, I do like to do the wet on wet so that the colors can blend. So you can use a lot of different techniques in the same design or in the same little painting, and you'll get all those different looks, which I think is really cool. So now I'm going back in with more of the violet on my brush, violet or purple. And I had just a little too much on there. And if you do get too much on, just kind of dab your brush and go back in, you know, and you can gather a little bit of it up. All right, so we'll let that blend out just a little bit. So then with the same little brush, I'm going to grab some of my sap green. And I'm not really doing a whole lot of color mixing at this point. I'm just using straight colors just to keep it quick and simple. So with the sap green, I'm just kind of going along the side of the stems. Here, and I'll do this one. We just want a little hint of color. And then, you know, fill in the leaves. And pretty much all we're doing is just adding a little bit of color, no real detail or shading or anything like that. We just want color. All right. And then for the centers of these flowers, what I like to do is grab a little bit of yellow, the lemon yellow. I'm going to go ahead and kind of fill that in. And once again, I do want this to be, you know, kind of a lot of paint or water, excuse me, on my brush because I want it to stay pretty wet because I'm going to add yet another color and I want it to blend a little bit. So once I have just a little dab of the yellow on there, I'm going to go in and grab some orange. And then with the orange, I just want to dab a little bit towards the center of the flower. And that can blend out. And so that adds a nice little contrast on the core of the flower. Okay, so now we do have the main flowers done and the trim done, or the frame or border, whatever you want to call it. So now I'm going to grab my, this is my 04 brush. And I want to just put in some fun little flowers, little filler flowers. And with these, I'm going to use, it's a nice mixture actually of turquoise and emerald green. So it's kind of an aqua color. And so for this, I'm just kind of doing some fun basic little flowers, which are, you know, just little, I guess, teardrops, you could say. And 5 of them. I always try and do 5 petals on a flower. Just real simple little flowers, nothing, you know, too fancy. Okay, so we'll just kind of pop in a couple of these here and there. And I'll do another one down here. And you can see they're just pretty much little, you know, I just put my brush down and wiggle it around a little bit, and they become little petals to a flower. All right, and so with those, we're going to let those dry for just a minute. And as those are drying, I think what I would like to do is take some of my, this is a color that I did mix up, and I mix it up every year, usually just around Christmas time. I call it my Grinch green, and I've used this before, and I've talked about it before. And it is hooker's green and lemon yellow mixed together, and it does come out with that nice limey, Grinchy color. And so with this, I'm just going to put a couple of little dots up in each corner. Might even put a couple more. And that's really all they are, is just dots. We're not going to make flowers out of them or anything. They're just a little filler. And you know, as I had said before, go ahead and use whatever colors you like that, you know, that really speak to you. If you're going to be putting this little sign into a guest bedroom, use the colors maybe that complement that room. And just have fun with it. If you have a certain flower that you like to paint, you know, like my daisies, then go ahead and put that on there. It's just all about getting creative. So now I'm going to use a little bit of my Hooker's green, and this is mixed with just a dash of the indigo to make it a little bit darker. And so for these little flowers that I had put on here, now I'm going to go through and just add some little leaves with this. And you can see I'm kind of painting a little bit over that line, and that's a nice look. Let's see, let's get a few leaves up here. And I don't want to go too crazy with the leaves around these flowers, but I do want to add, you know, a little bit of greenery for sure. Okay, so I believe those blue flowers are dry enough, and that's really what I was waiting for, is for those to dry a little bit. So now I'm going to grab a little bit of the turquoise blue. So if you remember, those flowers were a mixture of the turquoise and the emerald, and now I'm going in with just turquoise because I want to just add a little bit of texture. Let me get just a little more paint on my brush here. But with these, I did want for them to dry a little bit. I didn't want them to blend. I wanted these little accents to stand out. And so for doing this, I did grab my #1 brush because I wanted that finer tip. And then over here, and then once we get this done, we'll go ahead and add a little center to these flowers as well. Let me get just a little bit more paint. And like just adding these, it's very subtle, but it's enough that it really adds a little bit of character to those tiny little flowers. So now I'm going to take my indigo, because I do want the centers for these little flowers to be very dark. And so with the indigo on the brush, I just kind of want to dab in a couple little dots. And in doing so, you know, I want to leave a little bit of white space in there. And it doesn't have to be a complete circle within there. I'm going to hold off on that one because I see there's still a little bit wet. So to do this one, I'm just going to stay away from the one area that I can see that's still a little wet. Okay, so there we have all of the flowers and a few of the leaves. And then with my small brush, I'm going to take just a hint of the paint, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of fill in. Oops, let me get a little more paint here. Just, you know, little stems, I guess, to kind of bring them into the flowers. Okay, so now with this small brush, I'm going to grab, let's see, what do I want to do here? I think what I'm going to do is just grab a little bit of the orange paint, and let me kind of move my thing around here. Now this is a cadmium orange, And you can tell I didn't really know in advance what I was going to be doing with this. I'm just kind of filling in as I go. So I'm grabbing some of the orange, and with my smaller brush, I'm going to dab in some tiny dots around these big polka dots. I love polka dots and stripes. So you can kind of see where that orange really just kind of makes it pop. And then up in this corner. Okay, so this is really kind of coming together nicely. I'm gonna put just a little bit more of the orange up in this area to kind of fill in the center area. Okay, so that really is about all that I want to put on here. I don't want to get too busy looking. I just wanted it to be kind of cute and florally, and and then of course with my checkered framework that a lot of people are familiar with some of my past work. So that was just how quick and easy this was to do. And as I mentioned, if you have a certain color scheme that you really like, or favorite flowers that you like, go ahead and put those on there. And I know that when my guests come in and go into the guest bedroom and see this, they're going to really appreciate it, and it'll bring a smile to their face, and that is what I am always shooting for. So one last time, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and I hope you join me in my future videos. And until next time, ciao for now.